G'day YouTube, welcome back to my channel. If you've been following me for a while, you would notice the name change of my channel to Bonsai Works. Thought I'd change it now. I don't know why. I don't like the name Bonsai David anymore. I started that many years ago, not thinking long term, and so I'm still David. And the new channel is Bonsai Works, and now I have Instagram, and you can look me up on Bonsai Works, #Bonsai Works, WORX. One word, Bonsai, WORX. So I thought I'd play on the name a little bit. Hope you guys enjoy it. It's a bit of fun. I always wanted to call myself that or have something associated with that name. So that's what I decided to do. So you'll see Bonsai Works now instead of Bonsai David on YouTube. And yeah, I've got Instagram for starters. All right, now today. So what I'm going to do is, you could probably see I've got two very large buckets of moss that I went and collected. Now, the main reason I want to moss my trees is this year I didn't have the chance to collect in winter moss when I was repotting, because we had lockdowns and it was hard to get out and do that. So I've been lucky to get some moss collected up and get some stuck into my trees. The main thing I want to the reason I want to moss is I found this spring in Melbourne has been very windy, extremely windy, and it's been very annoying. It dries out the pots quickly. I don't want to put my sprinklers on just yet. It's still too early to put sprinklers on. I'm waiting for the hotter months. So by having the moss on the top of the trees, especially the smaller trees, I won't run the risk of them drying out. I mean, I haven't had any issues because I'm home watering every day because I'm working from home, so it's great. But yeah, I just really getting frustrated with this wind. It's just been very strong and pots are drying out. So today's about preparing the moss and then applying them to some trees. So what I want to, I'll stop talking. So I've got two big buckets of moss here. I'll just start with one, and I'll show you what I plan on doing. So I'll just move this one out of the way, and I'll pretty much use them all. I'll probably do most of my trees anyway, but I'm particularly going to concentrate on the smaller trees. So I've got a bucket of clean water in here. The bucket's not clean, but the water is. We've got a bucket of moss here. I've got just a knife that I use in the garden for cleaning stuff out. I need to clean the moss, and I've got a couple of seed trays here that I'm going to put the clean moss on. So usually I've got usually have a bucket of where I can chuck the dirt away, but I just put it, it's just underneath me. So I'm just so what I normally do is get a piece of moss. So this is quite nice little size moss, right? And try and clean. Use a knife. I'm just going to scrape away some of that soil that sits on the bottom. So I'm just scraping as much as I can. Don't go nuts on it, but try and pull as much as you can off, because you don't want. Because I'm going to wash it now a little bit. So just try to scrape it. I'm going to give it a bit of a wash in here. Now you're not going to get all the soil off, and the intention is not to get all the soil off. That's what I think anyway, because it's growing in that mix. Got a few long things I'm going to get rid of. And now you've got a really nice piece of moss to work with very little soil at the back. So a nice piece of moss. So I'll just put that on the tray and just keep going through it. Like, I try and pick out the best pieces as well. Like small. The one thing I was going to say is I like having smaller pieces of moss rather than huge chunks, then putting it on the tree. The huge chunks, I just find the birds destroy them, and they rip it all off, and it's harder to press the moss into the soil. And I'll show you how we do that, but that's the reason I sometimes like the smaller pieces. So I'm just cleaning the mud off. Give it a nice little wash. The other thing you could do is you don't have to really wash the mud off, but you can just later on you can put them on a tray and then just keep hosing them, which is no idea, but I'll just show you what I like doing sometimes. So you can do lots of different ways of doing this, but this is my way. So I'm just going to go prepare a tray, and then we'll do some how we put them on the tree. So let me just finish this one off. and then I'll come back and show you a tray of moss and then how we apply it to the trees. Okay. Alright, so I'm back and I have prepared a tray of moss. Now I'm sorry I've cut my head off, but I wanted to try and zoom in on this little plant maple. You've probably definitely seen this in my videos before. It's a nice little tree. Now the thing I sometimes use is this part of my root hook. It's just like a spatula bit, so I can press down the moss, but I'll show you what I'm going to do. So I'm going to find maybe some nice little pieces of moss, and I'm going to try and put them in between the crevices of the roots. So that's what I start out. I'll try and bring the camera in as much as I can. Geez, the birds are happy today. So I press them, usually the small ones I can press down with my fingers. What I do is I make sure I go right around the outside and press around the perimeter of the moss piece. Now by pressing that into the soil, you kind of don't press it in the middle because you want a nice little plumpiness on the moss, but if you press around the edges, it kind of presses that piece in. So start with small pieces, and I want to cover the whole soil level on this. So I like my deciduous trees with a full carpet of moss. Try and highlight some of the roots. I don't know, it's a bit sunny, but you can see that nice root there. Try and make sure you highlight some of that so it doesn't you want to see those nice big roots. So it looks like the tree is growing on a grass with the roots coming out. It makes it look really old. So with the smaller trees I can press in with my fingers around the perimeter. So make sure you do that. Always look for a nice piece to fit in a nice spot like that. That will fit nicely in there. Work your way in. So it's pleasingly aesthetic wise, like the look and feel of the tree looks really nice with the moss, but it also acts like a horticultural positive as well, with protecting the tree as well. So as I said to you, these trees are drying out a bit too fast for my liking. It's been very windy season in early spring here in Melbourne, which is really annoying, but and then we get occasionally mid 20 degree days, and the wind really picks up, and the trees are dry after an hour almost sometimes. So it's very annoying, especially as I say, my soil mix is quite open, and having an open mix, you have those issues. Like it's because I don't want to turn my sprinklers on yet. It's a bit too early, and it's a bit of a waste, to be honest. You want to really save that kind of sprinkler system for the summer. So this moss just adds a bit of protection whilst also making the tree look quite nice. So it's always trying to find a nice piece to just go in the right spot. You can break pieces up. From moss perspective, I like the moss that's quite flat and quite thin looking. Like that's not a bad one. So this is a nice piece it's quite thin base, thin roots, a nice thin top. The other ones that are kind of not the best. I'll try and show you an example. I was going through them. They're nice, big, lush, but they're very, very thick and like quite plump, which are good, but not good for mini. Not good for the small, tiny trees. They're probably better for the bigger trees. So hope that kind of makes sense. So there's different types of moss, and you would notice them around the place if when you're collecting. So with small trees, you really need very thin level of kind of moss looking, and this is just took a little bit of time. It's free. Go and collect some, and the tree looks really quite nice. So there you go. That's pretty much nice, close to finish. Just hold it up there. Nice mossed little tree. See that? Totally different tree to what it was before. Remember, see how they're nice and kind of rounded in the middle? That gives you that nice plumpiness. That's what I was trying to say. So if you press down around the edges, it helps push the moss down in the right way and helps it grow. So that's that one done. I'll just see if you guys want to hang around for a couple more. You have seen this little guy before. Look, it's coming up beautifully. I've trimmed it back. Nice foliage. It's starting to shoot again, new foliage. There's even back budding down here. Back budding. So by trimming it when I did, if you saw that video, there you go. It's all worked out quite nicely. I'll leave you. So just look for nice pieces to put around the place. Remember, push around the sides. I'm going to work pretty quickly here, because last thing I would do is hang around too long doing this, but I'm trying to explain it to you guys because it is quite time consuming, and I do want to get some air layering done today on some maples. So I'm trying a few different experiments on some maples. So I'm just trying to air layer now this time of year, which is kind of mid-October now in Melbourne, so it's about mid-spring. So I'm going to just try, you know, that experiment, I guess. I'm trying to find out when's the best time to air layer maples. Like I've got shimpacus down pat. Like I know exactly when to air layer them, and I'll show you soon a video of a shimpacus that I did air laid in summer and it didn't work. And you know, that just tells me again, you know, best time to air layer shimpacus is early spring, very early spring or late winter. So best time. Even, well, now still okay. Now it's pretty good still. Look at that. That looks stunning. How much difference does that look? How much difference does that tree just look now? Looks beautiful. Remember I was saying some of the trees, some of the maples I've got, little maples that I've done in my previous videos. You know, you've seen this one before. Look how nicely that's come along. See how it's back budded, shooting everywhere after I've trimmed it back. It's starting to look good. That's only in, you know, like a season. That's pretty good. So. The moss also helps to hide, because you know I've tied some of these trees in. It helps to hide the wire that I've tied in. So that's the other bonus, I guess. Lots of nice bonuses of having moss to help you with this process. Remember, all around the edges, press down. And now I'm actually going to feel a bit better because the list of trees are a little bit more protected, which is what I wanted. Press down all around the edges. I use this mainly for the bigger trees. That's what I was going to come say. So the bigger trees, they take a lot more moss. So you need to really get right in there. And I try and use small pieces for the small trees because I know the birds are going to love these. I'm going to be fighting with them for a while. I don't have no real solution to that. Maybe put a scarecrow up. I'm not even sure if that works. But they love this moss and they love to go and dig it up, and it's bloody annoying. But I just go and put it back sometimes. I'm looking at my trees every day, so you know, it is. If you look at your trees every day, you should be able to control it. It's like a little jigsaw puzzle. Sometimes, you know, you find little pieces of moss, put them in the right spot, look for another piece, put it in that spot. But with deciduous, as I say, I pretty much cover everything. Now I'm going to do a shimpacus in a minute, and I'll show you that one. I'll show you the difference there. And after I've done this, I do give it all good nice water. Look at that. I know the pot isn't special, but the trees with that looks great. See. Now with this lovely little shimpacus, now you've seen a video I've put up with that. It's doing really well after I've repotted into this really shallow pot. Looks quite nice. Now I won't. Now with this, I usually just moss around the root area. I don't moss all the way to the edge of the pot. Now, I'm just going to do that, and I'll kind of show you the result. Now, I do want to try and expose those nice roots. I don't want to cover them too much. Now, if you're putting a tree in a show, an exhibition, I usually do moss my trees for an exhibition. But we're not going to have any exhibitions anytime soon here in Melbourne, maybe next year. We're looking at one, hopefully. We'll be back into the show scene. But yeah, usually I always freshly moss my trees a week or two before the show. Because it makes them really stand out and looks really quite nice. So as I said, the next important step is to make sure you water these trees quite regularly. And by watering them, it allows the moss to continue to grow and thrive. Sorry, this video is going a little bit longer than I wanted, but you'll see the outcome I'm trying to get to. This is the last tree I'll do. Yeah. So if you've got questions, I'm always happy to answer questions. So, put them down in the comments. I usually answer pretty much everyone's questions. So happy to do so. As long as I know the answer, I won't tell you an answer if I don't know the answer. So yeah, I usually get to everyone. I usually can answer most questions. And thank you for your positive feedback and comments. It's always good to read. So thank you guys for that. So that's pretty much all I do on this. I don't go all the way to the edge, so I just do around the root section. Can you see that? There you go. Probably the whole tree in that picture. So just do around the root section. So, but you can still see the roots visible around the moss, and I don't go all the way because the juniper it doesn't have to grow in a whole paddock, you know what I mean? Like the maples usually. It grows, more rocky, so a bit of moss around the roots, and that's about it. So there you go. Alright guys, I'll have to finish it there. It's a longer video than I thought, but moss takes a while actually. Preparing the moss takes a bit, collecting, preparing, and then applying the moss, So as I said, now I'll just water these trees let the moss settle, maybe give it another sprinkle in the afternoon, come back in the morning, another sprinkle, just make sure the moss stays nice and moist so I can really sink in, especially the first week. So the first week is critical. So alright guys, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I'll see you soon.